We're going to begin going through Hallukos Shabbos. Very, very geschmack halachos, important halachos. Halachos which is in the Gaia Pashat on a weekly basis. And first today we're going to go through a little bit the Yisoides, and then it will help us a lot further down. Hallukos Shabbos is in Hilchos Shabbos, Simon Reish Samach Gimel. That's the bulk of the halachos. A little bit of Reish Samach Daled too. Now Chazal was masaken that you should light Neret Shabbos. You should light Neret Shabbos every Erev Shabbos, L'Tzoyrech Shabbos. And it is a choiv gemira. What does it mean it's a choiv gemira? There are some mitzvahs which Chazal were masaken that it's not a choiv that you have to do the mitzvah. It is only l'tilis yadayim. If you want to eat bread, you have to wash. If you don't want to eat that, you don't have to make l'tilis yadayim. So that's a mitzvah as aside the Rabbona, which is not a choiv. Over here, the lashon of Chazal, of the Gemara, in the Rambam, in the Shulchan Aruch, it's a choiv means you have to do it. You have no choice. It's not like, again, not like the Sidaim or Erev, and if you don't wanna carry, you don't make an Erev. You have to make Neret Shabbos. And this is one of the 7 mitzvahs asai of the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan have 7 mitzvahs asai, which the Chinuch, in some versions of the Chinuch, it is, and they give a simon. A simon is no b'simcha. Nu means moving b'simcha, which is nian is n'tilis yadayim, ayin is ereven, base is brochos. All the brochos which we make is a mitzvah de Rabbanan. Shian is Shabbos, that means Ner Shabbos. Mem is Megillas Esther. Chanukah, the mitzvah of Chanukah, lighting Chanukah candles, and Hallel. No b'simcha. Now from over here you have a couple of mitzvahs which is not a choiv, and you have a couple which is choiv. Netilis Yadayim and Ayav is not a choiv. Brachos is not a choiv. If you don't want to eat, you don't make a bracha. Then you have Megillas Esther is a choiv. You have to do it. Neiras Chanukah is a choiv. Hallel is a mitzvah sesa of the Rabbanan. You have to do it. So do Kim the Gemara says Ner Shabbos is choiv. You have to do it. It's a chiv to do. Now I said Tikni Chazal because this is the Rosh of the Alter Rebbe. The Rosh of the Alter Rebbe is Tikni Chazal that you have to light Neret Shabbos every Shabbos. But I want to tell you that we see in the Rishonim and even in the Goinim, which say that Neret Shabbos is basically a doraisa. It's a doraisa. Now the first thing we know is the Rebbe brings one of the reasons the Rebbe was masakin, which we're going to have a long discussion about it, that the children, young children, should also light candles. And the Rebbe brings a raya from Rivka. That Rivka, when she was 3 years old, she was married, and then she put on Neret Shabbos, and that's how Yitzchak saw that he's like Avram. So we see already the Ovos were lighting Shabbos candles. But we have the solution of in you know who says it? Basically, the Rashi's Rabbah. The Rashi's Rabbah says the Hemois were lighting Neret Shabbos. And they bring a raya of Yitzchak Hello, so we see the Ummahs already lighting Neret Shabbos. Then we have an interesting Medrsh Tanchuma, which the Medrsh Tanchuma says, Yalamdain Rabbaini, Al Kama virus no Shemaisim. On which virus, Rahman al-Islam, the ladies are dying when they give birth. What is the reason? What is the virus? So to them the Medrsh, Kach Shoni Rabbasaini. Chazal tells us three mitzvahs because a virus, Rahman al-Islam, ladies are dying when they give birth. Ishloshton min ha-Torah, and all 3 are min ha-Torah. So it's like Medrash. One is Nida, which says in the Torah, Ishki Yosef v'chulu. One is Chala, Reish is a Saichem mitzvah Reise. And the third one is Adlukas Aneh, the Chsiv, v'kerus l'Shabbos oinik, Ziyad Lukas Aner b'Shabbos. So akaponim, so we see already Medrsh Tanchuma, which says clearly that neither Shabbos is a part of the Chala, and neither is a mitzvah says a deraisa. It's a deraisa. It says a shloishta min haTorah. In Medrsh Leikichtov, zucht of them the Medrsh Leikichtov wants. We know that there's a big fight between us Perushim, we are called Perushim, and the Kroim. The Kroim were a cat which did not believe in Torah Tabapeh. Only what it says in the Torah. So the Kroim did not light candles. Adrabah, they hold you cannot light candles in Yom HaShabbos. So in Medrsh Leikichtov, which fights against the Kroim, he says, all the Chachmei Hadoros lo nechliche klal did not. There was no machloikus. Elu b'meh madlikin, b'meh ein madlikin. The whole machloikus we see in the Gemara is only how do you light? With what do you light? But that you have to light is lechol hadayis. Shekabala hoisu leYisrael mimai Moshe Rabbeini lahadlik ner. Statt schon wieder auch dieselbe Sache. It's a Kabbalah of him, Moshe Rabbeini, that he got on Ner Shabbos. And the Smag, another issue, says Tzivi mipi hanavim. He says it's Navim. It comes from Navim. Now it's interesting another thing. I want to get to something. That's why I will elaborate, and I want to get to it. The Arayam, one of the Rishonim, so he counts mitzvahs. This is one of the Svarim which counts mitzvahs, like the Chinuch, and he says, I'm going to connect Ner Chanukah together with Ner Shabbos. So although Ner Chanukah is only a mitzvah says the Rabbanan, yeah, but since he doesn't have a father, it means since he doesn't have, it's not a mitzvah says the Raisa, but Ner Shabbos is, so I'm going to connect Ner Shabbos with Ner Chanukah, and I'm going to put it together in minyan of mitzvahs. I'm not going to elaborate on Ner Chanukah because I'm only going to elaborate on mitzvahs the Raisa. But after Pekan, I'm just mentioning the Ner Chanukah is also a mitzvah Rabbanan because he doesn't have a father. And it says like this: V'yan Omri Neviim. The Neviim said, "V'chibadatu mesois derechechu." This is the famous Novi Yishai said, "V'chibadatu Yishai yishmechavot mesois derechechu." Omri Chazal, Tzivi lahadlik ner b'Shabbos lechvot Shabbos. V'samchia lakru v'idati kishol mohelechu ifekdichu noich v'lo yisechte. Zug the Yerayim, as this is basically a deraisa, and he says, this mind from Frier, the loy usu yermiyu gemire va'ad the loy usu yermiyu gemire v'asam chakru. Zug the Kim the Yerayim, and it says that what does we see? That basically the mitzvahs, the night of Shabbos is a deraisa. Only Yeshaya came a samcha al kru, made a samchas al kru. He aremas of the crew, but basically it's a deraisa. And the Chassam Sofer and the Shabbos rise from this Yerayim. You see clearly that he holds that adlukas ner Shabbos alucha Moshe Messinai. It's only a samchia crew. Although we know that the Chazal took it because they put it on a posik. It says only a smachta, but basically it is from the Neviim. And as I said, a lot of posik which say clearly that it's a deraisa. It's a mitzvah deraisa. The other hand, we know a bunch of other Rishonim, and this is how the Alter Rebbe writes: Tikni Chazal. It is a Tikni Chazal. It's only a Chazal. So I just want to be mashur between these two things. The Radvaz writes in Chivas Radvaz. Here he talks like this. He says he goes about trimas and masras to give master shiny in Shemitah. In Ammon and Moav. Ammon and Moav basically is Lebanon, Syria. Lebanon trays up this Ammon and Moav. If you should give Master Shiny in Shvias. So he says that Halacha Moshe Messinai, that you should give. So he asked, how could you say Halacha Moshe Messinai? The whole Trimas and Masters of Chislur is only on the Rabbanon. So if the whole is on the Rabbanon, how could you say Halacha Moshe Messinai? That means, how could you say Halacha Moshe Messinai? Because the Mishnah says Halacha, which Halacha means Halacha Moshe Messinai. How can you say Halacha Moshe Messinai when the whole Chislur of Trimas and Masters is only on the Rabbanon? Zukt of them, zukt der Advas. I saw some people who wants to say that Halacha Moshe Messina is lav dafka. It doesn't mean a Simina Torah. It's Keili Halacha Moshe Messina. And he says that's not the pshat. And he says no, it is Halacha Moshe Messina. No was then. The Eibishter had gesucht interesting Nikida, and we see it in other Rishonim. The Raz was in the Rishon. That was the first Achronim. Was the Rebbe of the Arizal, time of the Bes Yosef. We'll see Basun as the Ritz versucht in the Nikida, but the Nikida said Vurim is that the Rabbeinu Shloilem said for Moshe Rabbeinu, there are going to be mitzvahs, there are going to be halachas which Chazal will pasken, and I want it to be. I'm giving it over to you now. Halacha Moshe Messina, you should know it will come a time which Chazal will bring up halachas, and therefore you should know it. Moshe, the Eibish just learned from Moshe Rabbeinu as with the Radvas. And the Ritva tells it the same thing. Mamash the same thing clear. I'll see the Amrit Delusion from Russia. That means it is Takad Rabbonon. Aber the Halacha Moshe Messina, the Rabbonon Shalom told from Moshe Rabbeinu, it will come a time that it will be Chazal will come with this mitzvah. It's a little bit as if the Rebbe's famous word was the Rebbe had dort as Kam Mashital mit Vusi Kusel Chadash, the famous Sicha, a little Moshe Messina is dort zog the Rebbe sie gegeben geworden in Klulam. In the Prutim Kimen Aros. But the kids said Vurim zukt of them der Dwas. And then is the Losh is a fascinating illusion, which is tied auch in the Ritva. The Ritva get a zog illusion. Ze Medina Drachmuna mit Rabuna, sa Locha mit Rabuna, Drachmuna Agmara la Moshe Messina, shekein Asidim gekommen masaken. Zog dem Ritva as Halacha Moshe Messina the Rabuna Shalom told from Moshe Rabbeinu it's going to be a mitzvah which Chazal is going to give. And that is, so to speak, Halacha Moshe Messina. That means Halacha Moshe Messina. In Mamayla, this basically explains these two things. From one thing, we see that basically it is some Rishonim in Yivne Geoinam, which I mentioned before, said it's a Raisa. Then you have the Rambam in Riba Rishonim. Riba Paskim Rishonim hold this only the Rabbanan. How does it work? And we know this is one of the seven. The Chinuch writes it's one of the Nubba Simcha, one of the 7 mitzvahs of the Rabbanan. The answer is, it is a mitzvah of the Rabbanan which the Rabbanan Shalom already said it b'shaz v'sigavei ma'antoy l'rab shedut for Moshe Rabbeinu is God Geshem. But b'noisav, what? It was a minig already, so to speak. The overs of Moshe Rabbeinu were in the Torah. So therefore, the overs already from Moshe Rabbeinu were also the Rabbanans which came along. Avadas are gleich mit Gilas Esther. Avad didn't have a light Chanukah, but the mitzvah was Chazal, was the Torah, was the Eibish set for Moshe Rabbeinu, haben schon die Uvas getan, therefore the Uvas haben got Meir Shabbos. And let me quote a part of the Rush of the Ritva. It's very fascinating. Rush is Pechale Yisod in Mesoiras HaTorah, how it works. Because, but some people, it's only a Drabonon, it's only a Bahak, so to speak, Rabbanon has a lot of weight. It's Moshe Rabbeinu got it from Rabbanon Shalom. The Chazal will be misaken. Zuk Trazoi. Shekol ma sheyesh lasmacht men a pusik. Another thing, the Ritva wants to explain. Sometimes we're in the Gemara that Rabbanon Agbaralai. Chazal said it. Vasamachia Kru. What does it mean Samachia Kru? What does it mean Samachia Kru? It's about pashas we brought up when we were child. Chazal, so to speak, the Chazal made a halacha and they quetched it in somehow in the pusik. They made sure the psareim is in the pusik. Zukt of them the Ritva. Listen to this language. This doesn't mean. Shekol ma sheyesh lasmachtem in a posik. Whatever is a smaschem in a posik. Hayer a Kodesh Baruch Hu Shirur Lasses Kain. The Baruch Shalom made him push that you should make it. He pushed the Chazal to do it. And l'sheloi kava choyve v'mosr lechachumah. The Baruch Shalom wanted this mitzvah. He wanted Ner Shabbos, but he didn't want to put it a choyve in Torah. And in mosr lechachumah. V'zeh duve bur ve'emas. V'loi kedivrei mafarshim. It's not like the people who want to be mafarash. As machtas shem kederich siman shenos nechachumam. V'loi k'shekavunas Torah lekach. People want to say it's a smachta, not the Torah wants like this. It is only basically has a remus in a Torah. Yeah. Lechu Gdoli Mazid Ramban that the Rabbi said for Aaron Lechu Gdoli Mazid because Parshas Baloischu that's machte of Ner Chanukah. Zug der it for no the Eibishter was gewanted. Chaz v'shule mishtaka do to say that it's only pushed in the Torah and not what the Torah wants. V'lo chaz ishtaka do v'lo yomer sheze das minasi. Here's the word from the Ritva. Das means a person is going to say, well, you were brought up. As as macht means a mitzvah is had Rabbonen decided to some mitzvah, which again they have all the authority. Was ach mir crew, they push the in or they have a remes from a pusik. Zug der it for no, the Eibishter wanted it should be in. The Eibishter said, I don't want to put it in the Torah. I want Chazal should come up with that. And therefore, as a crew, that this is what the Torah, when the Torah writes over there, this is what the Torah meant that we should do it. So at least,
every mitzvah is the same thing.
The what?
The Ridvan would say the same thing for every mitzvah.
Correct. And ich will noch sagen, als von einer Seite sieht man, Rishonim muss sagen, es ist der Reise. Andere Seite sieht man, Rishonim muss sagen, es ist der Rabbonen. So according to this ritual, according to this advice, it makes sense. But Hakaponim, that's clear. We are putting it in halachas. We are going to put it in the category of mitzvahs of the Rabbonen. So when it's Nagaya, halachas which is Nagaya the Reise of the Rabbonen, which we have a klal, as by the Reise you have to be a machma, but the Rabbonen, it will go into the category of the Rabbonen. But at least we should understand what the Rishonim keep on saying, and in order we should understand as Dafka B'der Shabbos, which is such an important mitzvah from more than other mitzvahs in a way. Bichan Kippur and Vasof Kalsof do Zeitman for the Rishonim, which has clearly it's the Reise, so that people should think, okay, no, it's nothing. Today's day we have light. We're only we're going to come to that. Today's day was a light. This mitzvah Sin Lecht is a starke Sache, a starke mitzvah, and this is what we darf man das verstehen.
According to those that say they're right, so where's it written?
Where's it written? Oh, they have a lot of ways with where's it written. One of the things is lo manisbach nairas l'mi'adam. In the Torah is nairas l'mi'adam. There's a couple of things where it is written. Oh, but Bapashtas is in Tanakh. That's
not. I guess someone that makes.
Yeah, a lot of In the Gemara lines, but this the Gemara in Shabbos puts it on that pasuk. As we're going to see, as a groß heilig from the Gemara Pashtas nimmt es in the pasuk. But gab einigen gut, but which we're going to get soon in a minute. The gab dem dort man sehen dort ist es in pasuk. But in any case, getting back. But Tzafkasov, the Lush of the Alter Rebbe is Tikni, Chazal, as you have to light Ner Shabbos, is a Tikni Chazal, but like Tzivi, Choyve Gemira. It's a Choyve Gemira. It's not a Choyve that you could go away, you decided, I don't need to do it, I need to do it. Okay, now what is the Geder of Ner Shabbos? Let me do when I come a bit in the Nikida, which is very important, the Nikida yet, because it's going to be very, very important down the road, when you're going to get to Echsanua, when you go out of your house, you're going to eating somewhere else. All this will be in the guy on this Nikida. What is the Geder of the mitzvah? What is the Geder of the Chiyuv? What is the Geder of the Chiyuv? Now, the Lushon of the Alter Rebbe. Let me bring for the Lushon of the Alter Rebbe. Let me quote first the Lushon of the Alter Rebbe, and then we're going to go a little bit in depth. Again, ich will auch an die Yisoides, and then we'll go more to the halachas, because once you have the Yisoides, a lot of things would flow. So the Alter Rebbe like this. The Alter Rebbe starts like this. Tikni chachomem, shi'eh lechaludem ner dolik b'Shabbos. Chazal haben weggestellt, you should have a light in every room where you're going to go. Any room which you use on Shabbos, you have to have a candle over there, should burn. Mishim sholem bais. Because of sholem bais, shlei koshel ba'ez va'even. What does it mean by pashtas? If it's dark, your wife tells you, bring me something from the room, and it's dark, you turn yourself over on the vacuum cleaner, which you stayed outside. How would afterwards the Shabbos will look? Or she trips, then I'm eaten. So therefore, Chazal you have to have light if you can use that room. Then sagt der Alter Rebbe weiter, V'chayev kal udam k'she'oichel sides halaylu. Everybody has a chiyuv, another chiyuv, a separate chiyuv. La'oichla eisel oraner. There's another chiyuv that you have to eat the Seder Shabbos by the nech, by the licht. Shezeh miklal oinik Shabbos. The ikir mitzvah adlukas neiris, yiner she'oichel etzle. The ikir halach, we have two kind of lecht. One is in all the rooms, one is on the table. The ikir mitzvah is the ner on the table, which we're going to see soon. What do you mean ikir? So, Akapurim, what we see here, we see the Alter Rebbe brings down Mishim Sholem Bayis. What we see in the Rishonim, two reasons why you have to tzin lecht. Now, The first reason we see is shtayt mishim kuvot Shabbos. Rashi says, it was the allusion, Rashi. Rashi says, that look is ner Shabbos choive, so Rashi, kuvot Shabbos. This is kuvot Shabbos. Sha'ayin si de cheshiva eile beukem or ken yemumu. Wie seht man beizem as in fin kuvot Shabbos? Man seht es schon in Gemara. The Gemara says, in Gemara mesech tzipsuchem, that we know that Allah Alter brings it down to Shulchan Aruch. It's probably the people who learn Yom Kippur knows that in to put on a light in Yom Kippur is a machloikus if you should have to put on Nairis Yom Kippur or you don't have to put Nairis Yom Kippur. Yesh in Hagen you don't put candles Nairis Yom Kippur, and some you do have. Some say you shouldn't have because you shouldn't be exposed to see your wife. The others say dafka you should put on because then is a usuf tashmish. Fine. The Shulchan Aruch shtayt usivus. Then zukt of them the Mishnah ile killa alma if it falls Yom Kippur falls on Shabbos you have to put on Shabbos licht. Zukt of them the Gemara the bluze with the Shimon Omer Yom Kippur shchali is b'Shabbos av b'mukim she'omer shlo lahadik even the poskim which say you shouldn't the Tanoim which says you shouldn't light candles Yom Kippur madlik mitnei kvot Shabbos. Zeh in the Gemara madlik mishim kvot Shabbos. So what do we see basically? That Naira Shabbos is mishim kvot Shabbos. The same we're going to see in a lot of other points. The Arayim says, Navim, as we mentioned before, the Chibadatem mechoiz derechechu, omri chachomim, v'tzivid lahadik Naira b'Shabbos lechvat Shabbos. The reason why I have to put on is lechvat Shabbos. As we say, smag, and a bunch of other Rishonim. Not only that, the Rabbi brings down that there are places, what is the nisich of Naira Shabbos? Our nisich is, Ashkushurim says, v'tzuni lahadlik, Naira shel Shabbos kodesh. The Ravi brings down that the nisich is lahadlik ner lechvat Shabbos. It's apart from the bracha. So we see according to this Rishonim, according to Rashi, that it is mitam kvat Shabbos. We're going to get to soon. What is it? What's the chilik? Abrakamishim kvat Shabbos. Le'imazeh, what?
The way it's being read, it's almost like as if it's Kiddush. What's that? Is it that we would think it's for shalom bias? Like, why are we having to make such an emphasis the Kodesh Shabbos? Like, what would be the Havamim to think it's for what reason?
No. The Nekida, what we deal now is, what is the Nekida of Masakim in the mitzvah? We'll get to it. I mean, alles goes into category of shalom bias. But is it mitzvah kvat Shabbos in Naira Shabbos? And we'll get to a minute to the Nekida. Then we have a lot of bunch of other Rishonim, which says clearly, Toysa says it, as was is mishim oinik Shabbos. So nish mitzvah kvat Shabbos is a big nafkamin law. What is oinik kvat Shabbos? We get to a minute. But hakaponam, and this is the allusion which is in Lekich Toiv. Omri Rizal had no nekes b'Shabbos mitzvah. She is anek b'Shabbos b'machal b'mishnah. Says the mitzvah is mitzvah oinik Shabbos. The same says the Rambam. What's the Lush of the Rambam? The Rambam in Peirik Ha'melech Shabbos. The Rambam had Lukas Ner Shabbos. Einer Rishis. It's not a Rishis that somebody, if he wants to be Mekayim the mitzvah, he does it, and if he doesn't want, like until it's Yadayim. Elechoy vehi. You have to roid of effort this mitzvah till you do it, and it's not a Rishis. Shezehi Michlal Oinik Shabbos. It's Michlal Oinik Shabbos. And this is how Toysa says. Toysa says that Lukas Ner Shabbos choive. The Toysa says, the Gemara says that Lukas Ner Shabbos choive. Yeah? So to them the Gemara, so to them Toysa, what does it mean choive? Choive b'mukim sida. It means, what is the choive? B'mukim sida. They says, a choive to sin lech, that's for sure. Du haben doch schon gesehen, al shloishe duvurim nushim meises. Now, do when the Gemara wants to say, the Gemara says like this. The Gemara says that what shemen you could light or not. So the Gemara tells all kind of shemen you could light. Then the Gemara says you cannot light with this kind of shemen because this is very flammable and we're afraid people will get fire. Then one of the things you cannot light candles with naft. So the Gemara, why? So the Gemara, because it has a very bad smell. And people, if they start smelling, they'll leave. Fragt of them in the Gemara, so leave. What do you care? You put on the light. Now you want to leave. So zukt of them in the Gemara, no. Adluk is ner Shabbos choive. So you can't leave. Zukt of them toys. What does mean choive? Since the choive is you eat the sida b'Shabbos is oinik Shabbos. So if I'm going to put on with naft, it's going to smell, and I'm going to leave, fehlt the ganze Iket in the mitzvah Shabbos. So we see Toys to clear, oinig b'mukam, essen b'mukam achila. Rashi, one place also says, as when it's light, when the thing is light, you have a geschmack, it's a oinig Shabbos. If you eat in the dark, it's like a uni. Never gets a seaman never gets full because he doesn't see the food. When you see the food, imagine one of the things they do today's day, they put in coloring in the foods. I always ask the question, why do you have to put in coloring? The taste is the same. Yeah, there's a time when I think Coke started making see-through soda. One soda was made see-through. Had the flavor of the flavor, but didn't have see-through. It wasn't the color which it had. Yeah, imagine orange soda, which is see-through. It's like water. It has the same flavor. It's not. A part is the coloring. Coloring is a very big part of because when you see it, that's a part of the geschmack. Zoekt of them the Gemara, zoekt them Toysvus, Rashi zoekt kwetscht of them. When a person sees the food, they must effen sich over the appetite, and that's why it's a choive. So again, we see some people say Kovod Shabbos, some people say Oinig Shabbos, and some people say again Al Shon Habayis. Now, just explain it. Who's the guy before? Und nu kommt an die Sodi Yisoides. Chazal haben weggestellt a mitzvah zu zinnenlecht. For two reasons. One is called Mitzat Kvat Shabbos, one is called als Oinig Shabbos. And both goes into the category of Sholem Bayis. When the Chazal say you have to put on Vidatike Sholem Alechu is you have to zinnenlecht because your Sholem Bayis means in the Sholem Bayis goes in two categories, like Kvat Shabbos and Oinig Shabbos. Now, what is the difference between Kvat Shabbos and Oinig Shabbos? You look in the Rambam, and some Chalal Lubavitcher, and some Rambam Yidin. So when you see, the Rambam brings down in two separate parakim, Peirig Hai, he brings down Indian of Kovat Shabbos, Peirig Lamed, he brings down of Oinig Shabbos. So the Rambam says like this: what is the Indian of Aizi Kuvat? In Peirig Lamed is Kovat Shabbos, in Peirig Hai is Oinig Shabbos. So the Rambam, Aizi Kuvat. What is Kovat Shabbos? Leerchet Spunov, a person should wash Punav Yud of Raglev. This is Kovat Shabbos. It's a choiv to go and shower before Kovat Shabbos. Bechamin, the Erev Shabbos, Kovat Shabbos. In Mesachtes Betalas, he puts on a nice garment. V'sheyilbas ksistnes kia, has to put on nice clothing. V'shelo yiyeh malbish el Shabbos kamalbish el chol. You have to have a Shabbos dig malbishim, which people do not know. That you have to have, in tzadikim, a makpid gewein, you shouldn't wear any of your malbishim, which you wear on weekdays, you should wear on Shabbos. Shabbos you have to have. You don't wear sneakers on Shabbos. Shabbos you wear Shabbos shoes. You have a kapota, you have all the, just made, as you the Rambam is on Nalucha. Shlo yai malbish el Shabbos kamalbish el chol. And I think, if I could say it, but Yerach proven that the jacket which you come all week, which says G53 or the whatever, coming there Shabbos, darf man dann sagen, if this is Taki Kvat Shabbos, aber this is als Mama Amizga. Al Capone was using the Rambam, which is halacha. It's in the Svetruglet in the Pascha Mochad. As you should. The what?
Walking, you need winter boots, you need different things like that.
Ich habe gesagt the Rambam, yes. Parshanut.
Balance out how to get the show.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Weiter.
Put the galoshin down in the corner.
Yeah, push the galoshin down the corner, you have the coat out. Yeah, I guess. I think there is Shabbos coats, which is also warm. I think so. Weiter. Okay, so only the mills of the Badich is the middle of learning. Then zog the Rambam, Eise Oinig. What is Oinig Shabbos? Zog the Rambam, Lasaken Tafshel, Shuman a fatty Tafshel. Shuman Beyoiser, Imashke Mavisam, a good wine, La Shabbos. V'chol Amarba Betzu Shabbos, Betik Machul Manayze Meshibach. So the Rambam had the two haluchas. What did he say about Kovat Shabbos? If you're going to realize, and what did they say about Oinig Shabbos? Oinig Shabbos says anything which has to do with food, with Hanuas Hagif. Hanuas Hagif, poshet, essen, trinken. What did they say about Oinig Kovat Shabbos? Around the gift. Washing, nice clothing, nice, dressing nice. And this is with the Mefarsh Rambam and the Masber, that Oinig Shabbos has to do with eating and drinking. Kvat Shabbos has to do arim, outside of eating and drinking. So now we're going to realize, the Alter Rebbe says there's two mitzvahs. There's one mitzvah, yeah? Remember I quote, brought down the Alter Rebbe's lotion. There is a mitzvah that everybody has to have in every room a light over there, which is Mishim Kvod Shabbos. You shouldn't trip, you shouldn't fall, you shouldn't be a balagan in the house. Then there's another mitzvah, which is basically you have to eat the Su'ud Shabbos. Where do you have to eat Su'ud Shabbos? By a Ner Shabbos, when it's light. In the Rashi, it should be mamash, a lot of light. No, today's day is the dimmer, it's more, then the lighter is, give me more, this my das teure, hepech, das balabais. Akaponam, so we see, whenever it has to do food, eating when it's light, that's Oinik Shabbos, because that has to do, it elevates, so to speak, the Geschmack in Seder Shabbos. So that's Oinik Shabbos. Kvod Shabbos is a rim. You shouldn't fall, you shouldn't trip. So that's why we have Rishonim which emphasize the Oinik Shabbos, and that's why we have Rishonim which emphasizes the Kvod Shabbos. But both goes into together called Shalom Bayis. Both in the Shalom Bayis, as we see in the Rishonim, that eating when there is a geschmack in the food is auch the Shalom Bayis, because then you give a compliment from your wife. Geschmack at Shalom. The geschmack not Shalom is in the morning, but geschmack at Kugel. Yeah. So this is highly for Shalom Bayis. So in Shalom Bayis goes three both in the kiddos. Eins, lighting on the table, that's Oinik Shabbos. And one, in every room should be a candle, you shouldn't trip. So we have, the Choiv is als Oinik Shabbos, and Ner Shabbos is different halachas. We have the nafkiman between the two things. Eating, you have to eat when it's light. There's the Kesach Shalos Drain. That's why the Gemara says, you should go out. No, it looks at the Shabbos. Choiv, you have to stay there. But when it comes to the Shloi Kushel, it is a chiyuv shlili. The chiyuv unzitzin light by the Seder Shabbos is a chiyuv chiyuvi. You have to have light by the Seder Shabbos. When it comes to the chiyuv of the Kuvot Shabbos, which is Shloi Kushel, you shouldn't trip. That is a shlili digger. You shouldn't trip. What does that mean? That means as long there is a way in my room that I don't trip, that will be fine. So therefore, now we can understand, we are makpat, be'emes makpat, you should have night of Shabbos when you eat, and nobody's makpat, and every room should be light. Why is it? It's the Chachoive. So the Alter Rebbe says, Tik Tichechum, as a Chazal mitzvah Sederreise. It's the Nechoive. How could it be that basically we don't put on lights in all the rooms? And the answer is, Adlukas night of Shabbos Choive is uktoises where, b'muk machila. That's the Choive. To eat where it's light, that's a Choive. In that, you have to do a pe'ila. And even if you have light, you have to put on two light. The other is not a shloi kushel dig is a shouldn't trip. As long as there is a light coming out, or you have a light, that's fine. Even if you don't have a light, if you have the moon coming in through the window, or you have the light outside, there's a light outside comes in, and you're not going to drip, or are you going to open the door to go into the room, the whole light will come in. Any light which comes in that room, which that makes you shouldn't trip, that's fine. Because the only nikita that mitzvah is that you shouldn't be sitting in the dark and you shouldn't fall. Whatever you could go, make sure that you don't have this, so then that's fine. The choiv is nicht a chayuvi you have to sit down. The choiv is it shouldn't be dark. Once you add, that's fine. When it comes to the light, when he's on the shulchan Shabbos, that is a chayuvi di gezach. It's a chiyuv and that's a chiyuv which the Chazal, we're going to come the next year. The Chazal put it on every individual. Every individual has it. Now, then we're going to see it. The B'nai Bayis patas alama. But basically, every boy which is 13 years old and every girl which is 12 years old has a choivas gavra that she has to be. It's not the light where he eats. So nishmer as the balabais. We're going to get to that. So what do we see again? Let's make it clear. That there's two kinds of lecht. There's a lecht which has to be when you eat Shabbos, and that's in the Oinik Shabbos. And then there's the other lecht which is shloi kushel, and that's only if it's dark. And if you make any pretend it shouldn't be dark, that's fine. And all of these goes into the gate of Shalom Bayis, because the Gemara says Shalom Bayis. So all this is on the Shalom Bayis. All Shalom Bayis you shouldn't trip. Or Shalom Bayis is that you should eat B'mukim Achille Zana Geschmack Asida. That's auch geht auch dran negate for Shalom Bayis. And that's interesting, a very interesting thing. The Lamdunim on the Glach Bemerken. And the Rama brings down Ner Dulek 2 times. In Peirig Lamet and in Peirig Hai. In Reb Chaim, Chedisha Bar Chaim Alai Vel Rama is Madaik Shon of the Kid. The Rama brings it twice. But again, because there's two kind of licht. In Peirig Lamet zukt wie Ner Dulek, v'shulchan urig mit dem Tzas. Shekalayla Lechvot Shabbos. At the table, this is eine für Kodesh Shabbos. This is the Shloi Kuschelige, so to speak. Agam do right by the Tisch, aber Akapunem, this is geht ran negate für Kodesh Shabbos. Then he says at a different time, as mit auf Essen, man muss machile, darf sein Leid. Das ist in Peirig Hai. Bringt es 2 Minuten, was sind zwei Gedure. Akapunem, I always know Mikol say, Sachoiv to put on Lecht, mit das Essen, der Rabunen Akapunem, to put on Lecht, Sai on the table, and say on every room, it shouldn't be dark, and it shouldn't be a person should not trip. Fine. Yeah, Zug the Alter Rebbe, if you remember, I mentioned before, the Iker mitzvahs at Lukas Neres, what the Alter Rebbe Gezug, is the Ner am Shoichelmoy. Now we're going to understand very good. Why? Because the Iker mitzvah, the Chiyuvidige mitzvah, the Iker mitzvah is, B'mukim Achila, a man shall ask when there's light. The other Ner Shabbos, although the Alter Rebbe brings on the Sachiv to have, Shniyir Ner Dulik B'chol Bayis, Shi'urim Hoylech Sham, but that's only a shlilis the gesagt that you shouldn't trip if you have light coming in, and that's why the reason nobody puts on light in a room which you go in but you don't eat there, because there is light outside. But by the way, ochet b'shim kvot Shabbos, ochet b'shim shlei kushel, you could sin and light make a bracha. That means if a person has a room, a person has he went away in a place. Yeah, which we're going to get to the loch more a little bit deeper. That's the gedichte of the night Shabbos. Person left his house. Yeah, and he eats in a restaurant. He pays before Shabbos. He came in. He pays over there, and he gives So and over there's light when he eats. Yeah, so he has a choiv. As I mentioned before, there's a choiv of each individual. Now, how he's a bachelor. If he has a wife at home, it's not a problem. Because when she lights, if a person is a bachelor. Or a bocher, yeah? Because they're under. Okay, a bachelor. So how does he make his mitzvah? The answer is in the place where he sleeps. When he comes home, he has to tzind light. He has to make sure that when he comes home, it should be light, because even of the shloi kushel machen a brocha. You don't make 2 brochas when if you light on your house by the dining room and then you light in the room, you don't make 2 brochas. It's the same because you made a brocha. But the person which didn't make a brocha, wants to be makayim his choyves hagif, could do it also in his bedroom. So basically, that is the 2 yisoides of Ner Shabbos. So the choyves mishim oinik Shabbos, mishim Ner Shabbos, and it's 2 different mitzvahs in both Abba Shemshul Bayis. In mit beide, you could be makayim your choyves gavra, which we're going to talk about next year. That one of the shiurim that basically it's a choyves gavra that you have a choyv, you should do it.
But initially, you can only do it if it's a dark room.
You should also do.
You can only do it if it's a dark room.
Only if it's dark room.
And by a suda you can do if there's light on.
Even if we're going to get to that too. Very good point. The shloi kushel, if there's light already, because the shtins in the machan brocha. How can you make a brocha? So you should do light. There's no. But when it comes to on the table, even if somebody light the candles already, one lady late, you could light also in hotels. When there's every lady, there's one table and a lot of candles. Everybody's lighting. How could you light? The answer is because the mitzad oinik Shabbos, mitzad kenich bald ze toises achila by dort wie me esst, so the Alter Rebbe, the more light, the more geschmack it is. So therefore, there's such thing as toises oire. But when it comes, like he said, when it comes to a bedroom, once there is light, you cannot make a bracha anymore. You cannot light over there. With a bracha al kapuna.
Would it be a hinder to light in the other rooms? Or not hinder?
Well, b'chalal?
Yeah. You have a light on over there, or in here, and to light in that room without there being any type of a hinder like that, or not?
I don't think so, because you have light. Basically, you have light. So if you didn't yoytzi the mitzvah, you could do it to the mitzvah with this. But if you yoytzi the mitzvah, what's the point?
I think if we start lighting in every room, we'll do hip shalom bites.
Yeah. Okay, so So now, let me just finish noch a Nekida. So, steigt the Chazal, at the mitzvah of Erev Shabbos is so important that Afile Oni, which doesn't have money, needs to go around, even if he's ashamed, to go beg people for money, he should have candles. Or, as I steigt the Shulchan Aruch, Kim the Prima Gudma says, and if he's ashamed, he should Zamoichel take off his coat and sell it on the market and have a light. Because Ner Shabbos is such an important thing that you have to have a Ner Shabbos. It's more important than a lot of other things. Not only that, Alter Rebbe paskens. If a person has, let's say, in his pocket, he's in a place which he doesn't have any, he has $5 in his pocket. He has a choice. He could buy a piece of fish to have the Kuvit Shabbos. Now he has chalas. Alter Rebbe says clear. Chalas comes first. Chalas is the thing which comes first. And not only a kazai is challah, but poshet challah kazai svia. But he has $5 in his pocket. He has only a bilka. Should he buy a piece of meat, chicken, fish, a kugel? The Alter Rebbe says kugel is a rice. Maybe he should buy a piece of kugel. Or he should buy a Ner Shabbos, which is only the Rabbonim, Kaponim, Bapashtas. So the Alter Rebbe, no. The first thing comes before Mechol Shabbos, comes Ner Shabbos. That's why.
Wine also?
Even Yain LaKiddush. Even a wine LaKiddush. Even if you don't have a wine LaKiddush. So the Alter Rebbe, why? Why could we could do it in the Challah? In the Challah. So Mamaila, that's important. That's how strong and how important it is in Ner Shabbos. You have to go around collecting money if you don't have money. You have to sell your coat. You have to do whatever you need to. If you have a $5 bill, you buy Ner Shabbos before it comes anything else. And if you have, it's Chanukah, what?
What if you already have a light bulb or flashlight?
So let me first give another look and then we're going to this. Well, this is the dovetails with this. Zoekt op het Alter Rebbe. De Alter Rebbe zoekt het zich op. De Achronim zoeken het. En met de Alter Rebbe is het mashme in a dik interessant oog that this is only one light. Although this is only one light. Although you have a minute to light two candles, which that's meaning zoeken we shumer as we're going to discuss met him why we light two candles, but beits mit tzad halucha, one light is enough. One light is enough. That what is the lotion of the brocha? Shekidushurim b'mitzoyis v'tzuni lahadik ner Shabbos kodesh. Ner. It's singular because the ikar halucha is only ner Shabbos. That's why the Alter Rebbe says if a lady forgot to sit in the lech and she wakes up 5 minutes after the shkia and she sees she doesn't have lech, she could ask a goy to light, although Amir al-Akim is also, obviously by Nashmoshes, she could tell for a goy to light, only one candle. She could light only one candle. So we see only one candle, that's the most important. Going back now to your question, what it is, if in dining room there's light, and you have $5, should you buy a lech, or you should, if you're going to close the light and put it on the Kuvit Shabbos, although we're going to get to it if you are yoytze the mitzvah in the light, which we're going to get to a whole discussion about this. But I can put as I feel, if it's the chesed Masham Chulam, then you should buy Masham Chulam. Since you have light, you're not going to eat Safksav in the dark. Because Safksav, the Nekidus Advurim is, the Nekidus was Chazalam Gewalt, is you should eat with its light. And you have it with its light. Now again, even though today's day, even we have light, we can light candles. But in such a case, like you said, it is as well the second candle. You don't have to give up more. And interesting, but one of the Achroinim, I don't remember his name now. Maybe the Torres Chaim. Torres Chaim says, since we have a minig to light 2 candles, that's a minig, and the minig is already brought down in the Ravia, in the Rishonim. So therefore, no, he wants to say that today's day, and it comes before everything. But again, Pashas from the Alter Rebbe, in the andere Achronim mashma, one light, that's the main thing, which is mechiv. Other things you're not mechiv to sell. But again,
we're saying today you only have electric bulbs.
If you have only electric,
you have to have a candle that's lit.
We still have to have an candle. But if you don't have, you have only $5, you can all buy a candle. Or buy a piece of chicken or a fish for Shabbos, you should buy a chicken or fish for Shabbos.
Because you have electric
Because you have electric light, yeah.
You were talking about that with LED and stuff.
The what? We are going to talk about this Nekida, like Rabbi Machan Abruch. We're going to make a chilik of them. But Safkal Sof, Sof kosov lagaba the choif, when a person doesn't have Seder Shabbos, which we have to remember, Seder Shabbos is ochet, a mitzvah. So in such a case, although Ner Shabbos is so important, but the whole Ner Shabbos is basically Val Chazal Gewalt, or Mitzad Shulam Bais, or Mitzad, again, or Mitzad Kuvod, or Mitzad Doinig. Now we have both of them, Sof kosov. So therefore, that will come first. And that's why it's Shteit in the Chroinam, who says it, the Ktsas HaShilchen. Ktsas HaShilchen says, today's day we have light, so if a person doesn't have any money, which the Loch HaShichnurich, you have to go beg on the doors or sell the Ksis, you don't have to do that. Because of course there is some light in the house, so as I feel, we'll take it, that you don't have to go up, Sholab Such. Al Kaponim, das is the Nekidas Advorim, the interesting another thing is the Primagudam Hatashalla, Babum Mistapik, that if in one room you're going to use on Shabbos and it's dark, Shloi Kushel, the second, Kuvot Shabbos, Shloi Kushel, yeah, and you're going to use that room. This is also a thing which you're going to be Doiche Kiddush or not? If you have $5, you can buy a cup of wine, or you can buy a candle for a room which you're going to use, and it will be dark. What comes first? Huh? Is the Primagudam, and the Primagudam Zukt, hat a Sufik, but then, in one place, in Sifkuten Dalat, is Mistapik drin, but then, in Sifkuten Tez, it says for certain, Shlei Kushel, Koidim Lekiddish. Even Shlei Kushel is Koidim Lekiddish, B'Shem Shalom Bayis. But the Pashtas is...
But isn't that the whole reason why Neres is Koidim, because it says Gadla Shalom? Isn't that like the reason that's brought down all over, that the reason why Ner Shabbos is Koidim is, we saw that the Ebershter is even like Shmoy for Shalom.
Yeah, Emma. So Meile, was the Lechorik darf, ist Shlei Kushel auch dieselbe Sache. Aber, ja.
I don't remember the Makar, but I remember seeing that somewhere, that's the reason, I don't know, maybe.
Moiche Ksis is Mitzad Dem.
So, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
I'm not sure that it's the illusion of the Zach.
But Ner Shabbos, Ner Chanukah, it says Ner Shabbos.
Ner Shabbos, Ner Chanukah, Ner Shabbos, B'Shem Shalom Bayis. Because again, as I mentioned before, the whole Ner Shabbos means, the Chazal speak of Ner Shabbos, they call it B'Shem Shalom Bayis. So, and that goes in both gates.
Right,
yeah, okay, aber was kommt la Maas la Lucha, see, me soll sehen, dass they give preference, and I like the Alter Rebbe quetsches. The Iker Mitzvah Ner Shabbos is on the Mukmasidah, so the Alter Rebbe gives preference on that over that one. So, could we say that when it comes to Yain Kiddush, that's different? Das is the Kiddush. So, Prim Gum line is mistapik in them. But
that would also be like a Ner Sheni, because obviously, if you're worried about a candle Shlei Kashel, you have already what you're eating. So it's a second candle. It's like buying multiple candles.
It's like okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And could be the Prima Gadol Mum Mistapik when it comes to Ner Chanukah also.
Okay.
They have Ner Chanukah, Ner Shabbos, and Ner Shabbos, you have one Ner Shabbos for you.
Dort steht, by the way, es kommt zu der Sache, steht so Ner Shabbos, Ner Chanukah, Ner Shabbos Koidem.
Right.
Steht aber nach Roinam, the Posken bringen so, that you should, what should you do? You should put on the Ner Chanukah and use it for the Seder Shabbos. But the Baruch should be Ladik Ner Shabbos. Der ist, sagen sie Favos, weil agam in some of the Chaklal that Ner Shabbos usel stapik, usel Shabbos lo eure. So how could you eat over there? Sagen sie loigura, was sie steht, loigura fin B'shas Kunna, B'shas Shmad, manich al Shirchunoi, V'daye. So when he puts it on Shirchunoi V'daye, hat es sich bestamisch gewinnt, mit dem Mocht automatically. So afenbek, du hast kabreire, sagt bei mir, du, wenn ich hab Ner Shabbos, ich kann mir keinem sagen, mitzvahs, so put on Ner Chanukah, and use it for Shabbos, so basically, hast du kein way by the mitzvahs. This is but again, this is, it's not relevant in the Tzat, but... Yeah, he will have the same suffix, Kiddush, same as Ner Chanukah. Same thing will be the same. Correct.